The Manuscript of Survival, Part 426, September 28, 2014. Let us begin this missive by saying that you have by now already accomplished piercing a few holes in that membrane that separates you from your own greatness, and like stars on the firmament, these small apertures will begin to exude a powerful light that will begin to attract your attention, but also the attention of others. You see, you are not just here to discover your own greatness, you are here to utilize that high voltage of light to create change on a vast scale, not just for your planet, but for all of creation. And before this adds to your already considerable pile of reasons to begin to think yourselves unworthy of all of this attention, know that you are far above and beyond anything that we can heap upon you of our most lavish of praise. For you are truly gods in your own right, but still, the rediscovery of this lies somewhere off into the future, but now, you will at least begin to get a small inkling of it by the light that will begin to seep through these small apertures you have created for yourself. And so, this will also begin to equalize the pressure, if you will, between that small and cramped compartment you currently abide within and the enormous and light-filled space that is yours to enter whenever you manage to pick up your courage and determination enough to stride across that divide you still seem to find insurmountable. That is, your mind still thinks so, but the rest of you is already starting to venture closer by the day and indeed, by the night. For so much of this process will be governed by your higher self, that part of you that sometimes seems to be such a distant relative you have no idea it even exists, while at other times you feel yourself comfortably immersed in the sweetness of yourself, and you just know that you are finally home. Well, the two of you are indeed about to get better acquainted now that these small openings will begin to assist these get-togethers in a very new way. Remember, your hesitation will indeed serve to slow down the pace, but also know that your higher self is already confident in your own success, and so the two of you together will find a way to overcome those obstacles the human parts of you still try so fervently to invent. For as that old separation begin to come to a close, the nearness of your own greatness will feel almost overpowering at times, and instead of seeking towards it, you may find yourself trying to shrink back from it, yes, in every sense of the word. For you will feel literally too small to contain it all, and no less too limited to even begin to understand it, but again, this is not something you need to understand. In fact, you will be far better off not even trying to. For this is not an intellectual task you have given yourself, a riddle that needs to be solved by your human counterpart. No, this is simply something you have to allow yourself to carry out with every ounce of your being, and without any hesitation at all. For you can stand in your own way if you so choose, but you can also choose to simply step aside and let your own greatness carry you all the way home into you. Again, the choice is yours, but remember what your human mind still thinks of as free will is indeed under the jurisdiction of your own higher self. So whatever your heart tells you, is the truth, and whatever your mind tries to make of it, is simply a figment of your imagination, and it is not something that can be construed as part of your free will at all. Again, you are all sovereign beings, but when we say that, we refer to the totality of your being, not at that one small part of you that goes under the definition of your human ego. And so, for many of you, an inner turmoil may erupt at one point or another, that is, if you try to go against your own free will, and fight too hard to keep an old and limited idea of yourself still running your actions and your intents. For that can too easily happen, and the reason is also easy to explain. You have been so programmed to listen to that same small inner voice literally lifetime after lifetime, so you look upon it as the symbol of you, when it is in fact merely a whisper from those uttermost layers of your being. So this time, make sure you give yourself the benefit of doubt whenever this old and so-called voice of reason begins once again to pipe up with all kinds of suggestions why you should not allow your own greatness to truly begin to shine through. For that is not the voice of reason, that is simply the old storyline of illusion, and now, you have been given the task of ripping asunder that old veil and unveil the real you that has been sitting behind it waiting for you to finally claim it back as yours. For it is you in every way, and now, the time has come to step boldly forth and say, "This is me," not that small fragment of humanity that currently enables me to be present here at this grand occasion, these momentous times, not just for mankind, but for all of creation. And thanks to me, this opportunity has finally come about, and now, I will do everything I can not to stand in my way nor any others, and I will add my considerable weight to this already rolling wheel that is bringing us all into the new and away from the old. For that is why you are here, to amplify the change by adding all of your being in one seamless package, by connecting what has been separated and by allowing every single part of you to come together into one coherent, magnificent one, housed within the relatively tiny body of a human, but carrying within you the power of all of creation. So step aside and let your own greatness take the lead, and do not let your own ideas of smallness hold you back any longer. For you are made to shine brightly, dear ones, and now, you have already started to allow this brightness to seep out into the open. And remember, the faster you allow these openings to widen, the less the pressure will be, and vice versa. For you determine the speed, but the speed also determines the intensity of your own process. So once again we say, allow the flow, and know that it will help you to float through these rapids faster and in a much more comfortable way, if we may use such a word for a process that is indeed bar none the most important and the most complex ever undertaken by anyone. But that is why you're here, and that is what you are more than capable of. After all, you have been handpicked for this assignment, because you are truly the ones who have what it takes and then some, and so, it is not by accident that you find yourselves at this juncture now, for that is what you have been preparing for, seemingly forever. So give yourself the leeway you need so that you can find a way to tune into those parts of you that are already well underway in accomplishing this gargantuan task, and let those parts of you still insisting you are not good enough step back and fall silent. For you are so much more than that hesitant voice, and we know that you know this too. For you all have it in you, and now is the time to let this power be unleashed from that straitjacket it has been kept in for far too long. Remember, it is your old programming that is trying to make you fearful of your own powers, for you have been well taught to think that what you can sense deep within you is something that must be avoided at all costs. For what you sense approaching is a change, so profound any so-called normal human being would automatically shy away from it, for that is what you have been taught to do. For you have been well trained to avoid change at any cost, and to stay obedient to this at all times, and so, whenever that inner strength begins to seep out, so many of you will literally step back from it, because it seems to intimidate you and even threaten your very existence. For you think it may destroy you, but it will not. It will simply destroy the illusion that has kept you trapped within it for lifetime after lifetime, so no wonder you might cringe at the very idea. Remember, mankind has learned to abhor change, but your task is not only to initiate, but also to succeed in changing everything that you up until now have looked upon as reality, and now, that truth is literally beginning to seep out from your very bones. So no wonder you may feel yourself fluctuating between elation and anxiety at times like these. Just know that you all know exactly what to do and how to do it, and now the question is simply this: when will you be ready to actually allow it to happen? The Manuscript of Survival, Part 425, September 26, 2014. This message will perhaps shake up a few of those old misconceptions that still survive even in some of the enlightened circles. You see, this has very much to do about the very nature of things, and when we say that, we are actually referring to the state that makes everything come about, or rather come into existence in a way that enables you to perceive them. For existence and the definition of it is indeed a very convoluted subject, as what seems to exist to a human, is merely the tiniest tip of the proverbial iceberg compared to what really is out here. You see, or rather, you cannot see so much of what truly is, and even with the most sophisticated of your equipment, you have only started to scratch the surface of creation. Or perhaps we should say you have only seen one tiny layer of that huge and complex structure. And so, mankind go around with some very set notions in their minds of what is, and what is indeed possible, and so you continue to see everything from an extremely narrow perspective. We know that this will make many of you nod your heads in agreement. After all, you are the ones who have persistently been seeking outside of these narrow confines for a very long time now. Yet, you have still not managed to come very far from that somewhat humble beginnings you started your quest from. And no, this is not said in order to rile you in any way, or for us to try to imply any kind of superiority over you. Far from it, this is simply intended as a reminder that you still have so much to search for on this quest for answers. And yes, this may frustrate you to no end, for what you can sense if you truly prick up your senses is a field so vast, it makes it almost unbearably irritating at times not to be able to see it more clearly. And so, you may kick out in despair, or you may simply pull back your feelers and content yourself with exploring the field you have already crossed before. But by doing that, you are actually allowing yourself to narrow down your own field of potential in a very tangible way. You see, you are the only one who can go where no man has gone before, and if you resist letting that tantalizing whiff of knowledge lead you on, you will only serve to slow down not only yourself but all of mankind. Again, this is not any form of criticism, rather it is an important reminder for you all to continue to push through those boundaries you still have when it comes to your own abilities to seek perfection. And when we say perfection, we do not mean that in any superficial way, rather, it is to remind you all of your own greatness. For you already are all of those things you cannot even begin to believe are true, but still, you have yet to truly own that greatness, to take it fully into your possession once again. For this cannot be done by anyone else but you, and in doing that, you will help to open the door for everyone else that might find the courage to enter that same hole that you have so boldly stepped into. You see, someone has to take that first step, but up until now, so many of you have hesitated at that very doorstep, and for one reason or the other, you have chosen to step back in the hope that someone else may take the lead. But now it is our task to remind each and every one of you of your own responsibility in this whole operation. For as we have told you again and again, what you do for all, so too in this. In other words, the more you choose to hold yourself back, the more you will actually serve to slow down the process for all those following in your footsteps. Remember, you are the way showers in every sense of the word, for you act as the vanguard for a whole host of others, and so, whenever you think yourself unable to complete another step on this journey, you slow down and so do all those behind you. For you are indeed trailblazers in the right sense of the word, and that is why you are here, to find a way to overcome your own inhibitions. For you can already fly, but for all of your lives you have done nothing more than run at top speed at the most. You see, you are so much freer than you still seem to think, and for many of you, the old idea of disbelief in your own abilities is still anchoring you very firmly in that old way of thinking and acting. And so, look upon this as a kind of shaking of the tree, an impetus to give yourself that extra push you need to push yourself off that branch you have been clinging so tenaciously to for such a long time now. For you are more than ready to fly, dear ones, but like a timid fledgling, you sit there waiting for the right opportunity to do so. Well, that window of opportunity has been standing wide open for quite some time now, the sky is clear and the wind is indeed favorable, so why not make a firm decision to cast off once and for all? You see, you will not crash nor fail, for your wings have been constructed to carry a far heavier weight than yourself. For you will be bringing so much more with you into the air when you finally dare to soar, for when you lift off, all of humanity will feel themselves being pulled along in your wake. So once again we say, do not make yourself smaller than you truly are, and stop stopping yourself by questioning your own inherent qualities. For you are all shining examples of souls that know no limits at all, in every sense of the word, but still, you have an ability to override that truth with some carefully chosen words of discouragement whenever the opportunity to truly shine your light arises. This does not mean that you are merely shadows of yourselves, hiding in the corners at all times, far from it. For you have lifted yourselves in this world a far cry from that old and dreadful state you used to linger in, and with every step you take, you continue to spread that inner light of yours far across the land. But still, there is something within you that continues to keep your light just that much dimmer than it truly is, and now the time has come for you all to adjust your wattage, if we may use such an expression. You see, you do not lack anything at all, except perhaps the courage to truly shine as brightly as you actually can. So now, we do hope you will all remember to take some time to look at your own light in the light of this truth, and we venture to guess that what you see, if you truly acknowledge your inner greatness, will be a far cry from the meager supply of light that actually reaches the outside. Not that it is far too small to have an effect, but it is simply a small taste of what you have to offer yourself in the way of enlightenment. And when you dare to offer your own inner light freely to yourself, then you will also automatically begin to share that immense powerhouse with the rest of mankind, with the rest of this world, and with the rest of creation. And remember, it is sorely needed, for this planet has been left to survive on the merest scraps of light for far too long now. But now, thanks to your ability to once more connect to Source, there is no more lack of resources on this planet, as long as you all allow yourselves to truly shine at your very brightest.